Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast, powered by Ollipop. If you're not drinking Ollipop, you can go to any one of your local Whole Foods, your local Sprouts, Walmart, Target. Those are the places that are going to have it. It's good for you. It's healthy. If you like Coke, if you like cream soda, if you like Orange Crush or Fanta, that is the spot. I'm telling you. I'm a Fanta guy, and I love the orange Ollipop, and it's good for you. I think it only has 4 grams of sugar, right, Parker?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
It varies flavor to flavor, never more than 5.
Never more than 5. And if you're addicted to Coke and you want to get out of that bad habit, that's the way to go.
Get addicted to Ollipop instead, because I'm
bad right now. But No, hey, that I don't drink it that often, so you got to leave me alone on that one.
For those that are on the audio side and not the YouTube side, he just flashed his 32-ounce gas station soda to the camera. But no, listen,
for
folks,
my wife to bring me home one today.
If you got a soda problem, and I feel like all of us have been there at a certain point, just can't stop drinking this stuff, give Ollipop a try, because it's soda without the soda guilt. I got to constantly be reminding myself that I can drink more than one of these, because
that's pretty awesome.
You get it drilled into your head that, well, soda's bad for you. I need to, moderate my consumption. But with Ollipop, you can just drink them and drink them and drink them. And the thing about it is, it's going to do a lot of good for you as far as the digestive enzymes and prebiotics, the fiber in every can. DrinkOllipop.com is where you can head for more information and to use promo code CHAMPU20 for 20% off your online order.
And not only that, as I sit here and I do have a Coke today, and that's on me. I needed some caffeine a little bit, and because we're recording late at night, people don't understand this. We're recording late at night. I'm not young like Parker, and I lost a lot of weight because I stopped drinking Coke so much, and I relied more on Ollipop, and that was kind of my give and take. And it allowed me to enjoy my Coke and not have to rely so much on the bad one. And also with all the less sugars and all that stuff, you lose weight. I'm a prime example. In the last 18 months, I'm down like almost 30 pounds. So drink Ollipop. It can help you lose weight if you are addicted. I think they say 5 pounds a month is what an actual person loses if they stop drinking Coke outright. You plateau, but you up front, you lose a lot up front. And that's what everybody wants to do, is be healthy, right? Ollipop it is. All right. Thank you, Ollipop, for being our sponsor. All right, that is the intro. And now on this podcast, we're going to talk about, obviously, Party in the Palace. We've got more information. If you're not on OU Insider, that's where you've got to go, because OU Insider right now, July 31st. You're going to be listening to this on July 31st.
The waning hours of July 31st.
The waning hours of July 31st. So if you're not signed up, don't fret. I'm sure there will be another promo down the line and during the season. But if you're listening to this and you have time before 11 p.m. or 12 p.m., 12 a.m. on August 1st, if you've got that time, because we're probably going to release this about 6 p.m., if you have that time, go to OU Insider and type in the promo code and sign up. Get your screen names, type in the promo code PATP, as in Party at the Palace. PATP 23. PATP 23. That is the promo code. You'll get OU Insider all the way through September 2nd. So September 3rd, they will charge you, but you get all the way to the first game of the season, which means you get all the commits that are supposed to happen in August. You get all the fall camp, and that's what you're looking forward to, and you get the first game of the season. So go to OU Insider, sign up. PATP23 is a promo code, and get OU Insider for free for the next month. All right. Let's start, Parker, with Grant Brix. Grant Brix came to Party at the Palace. He's been to K-State before that, and now he is at Nebraska as we speak today. Is he staying the night there and going to the football practice like a lot of them are, or is he heading home? And where do things stand with Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, there's no real reason for him to stay the night in Lincoln because he's hardly an hour, somewhere between an hour and a half from home up in Logan, Iowa. It's not that far of a drive. So he was on campus with Nebraska today. That is presumably the last visit he's going to take before a decision is made. And look, I feel very strongly coming out of the Oklahoma visit. I got the chance to catch up with Brix on Saturday, got the chance to catch up with a number of sources around Norman that were around the visit, and conversed with Brix and generally had a vibe on where things stood between Oklahoma and the 4-star offensive tackle out of the state of Iowa. And I feel very strongly that Oklahoma's in the driver's seat right here. And I've had a future cast in for Brix to Oklahoma since early June. And at that point, Oklahoma led, but it wasn't by much. And they've had to withstand some momentum for Kansas State and Nebraska throughout, as well as that Alabama threw their hat in the ring at the very end of June. So you had to cope with that as well. Even though Alabama, I don't believe, was ever seriously in the picture because of the distance factor. But there was a time where Kansas State had some juice. There was a time where Nebraska had some juice. But in the end, I think especially just gauging, and I know it's very fresh off the Nebraska visit as we sit here and record this. So I'm going to get some more accounts of how things went on that end with some of my folks up in the 402. But I feel I feel very strongly as though Oklahoma made the best impression in the last 72 hours. It saw Brix go to Manhattan, then to Norman, and then to Lincoln. So with that in mind, I think Oklahoma's poised to close this one out, assuming current trends hold. And I will be honest, I was just texting back and forth as we were sitting here with a very well-placed source on the Brix recruitment. And that source told me, because I'm planning to be back up there in Logan the week of August 7th to see Brix in person again. And that source told me that by the time you go up there, this one is probably going to be over. So there you go.
And when are you going up there? Just to reiterate on that part.
So the week of August 7th, probably the back half. Okay. We're looking at August 11th, August 12th, probably. So that's within the next.
Why are you going up? Why are you going up that way on August 7th?
No, I'm not going up there on August 7th.
Oh, okay. You knew what I was getting there.
Yeah. No, well, that is true, though. That is true. I may be going up that way on August 7th anyway.
Because you're not. When is the honeymoon?
Honeymoon is the 17th through the 24th. So gonna fly.
So you'll get back just in time for some fireworks.
Just in time to go right back up to Kansas City and watch Lee Summit North open their season against Liberty North. So that will be game number 1 of the fall for me. Fresh off the hunt. I mean, we're flying overnight on the 24th/25th. So I think the flight gets in at like 6:30 in the morning on the 25th. So I'm going to go sleep for 5-6 hours, get on the road and watch some football because that's what it's about. But no, man, like as we sit here right now, unless something changes substantially, I do think Oklahoma ends up with Brix's commitment. It really does just feel like a matter of when this thing wraps up. And it does you do get the sense with a kid like that, the timeline is going to have an impact on where he eventually lands. If a decision is made quickly here, I think it's made in favor of Oklahoma. Where you start to get apprehensive is if it drags into late August, early September, the dead period wraps up at the end of August, it's open season again in September, and Nebraska and Kansas State can say, hey, come make the short little drive, come see a game, tell us you don't want to play here. That's where you start to worry a lot more about Nebraska and Kansas State in this recruitment. But definitely feel like Oklahoma has solidified the upper hand in that race, which if you've heard me talk about Brix before, you know how in love I am with the kid from a football perspective. I think this kid's ceiling is limitless, and this is the crown jewel of Bill Bedenbaugh's class. If he does indeed elect to matriculate at Oklahoma.
And so just to kind of harp on that a little bit, I was talking to a source, and this source has told me this numerous times, by the way, and they would always say, and I've said it on this podcast before, I think several times, the analogy or metaphor that they gave Brix in his playing style was a semi running over micro machines, because he is a bulldozer on the vote. They said he's just a road grader, and just here's also something funny. So I'm talking to somebody, and this was echoed, by the way, by more than one person that was at Party in the Palace this past weekend at Oklahoma.
Okay.
And they said there were 3 guys that you could look at and you go, oh, they're already physically ready to be in the SEC. Like physically, they look the part physically, like dudes that have been through a college. Now, obviously, everybody believes that all the guys Oklahoma is going to recruit. Oh, and you know what? We buried something leading into this. We're going to have Mykel Patterson-McDonald on this podcast.
It'll be in the title, so like people will have picked up on it. But yes.
Yeah, but we buried that, and he's going to be in the podcast, the last part of it, and guess why? Because he's committed to Oklahoma when this comes out. So there you go. So yeah, you'll have that at the end. But anyways, back to what I was just saying. This person, multiple people actually said there were 3 guys that just looked like they were ready to line up in the SEC right now. Like they don't have to go through any strength and conditioning or developing anything physically. They're just ready to rock. And that was Grant Brix, Devon Mitchell, and Danny Okoye. They said they are freaks. They said that when they were playing gotcha, that those 3 just looked different than everybody else out there running around. And that also went with the dodgeball. They just said anything. They were all having dunk contests too, by the way. So you can imagine these big, huge human beings just flying around. And it is kind of awestruck to see somebody that weighs 280 pounds just up there, just throwing down. Or a guy that's 6'4", 260 or 240, 6'4", 240, like Danny Okoye, and is just hovering in the air doing windmill dunks like you've been told. And obviously the same thing goes for Devon Mitchell. So to be in the same breath as those 2 for Grant Brix has to show you how big a deal he is. And I think his ranking speaks for itself. He has a chance to be a 5-star when it's all said and done.
Yes, he
I know he's in
does.
Iowa.
He absolutely does.
Yeah, I mean, he's that good. So this would be huge for Oklahoma if they could pull this off. And obviously, there's a lot of confidence right now in Norman, and apparently there should be. Hearing what you're saying, Parker. So
yeah,
I think that's great news for Oklahoma moving forward. I brought up Danny Okoye just a second ago, and I'll talk. Might as well talk about him. I actually talked to Okoye earlier this weekend as well, and to say that Oklahoma hasn't made a jump here is a minor understatement. First off, that first visit he took, and this is coming from him, he said, look, the first visit, I was just trying to get to know the Sooner staff again. It was kind of, I'm filling them out, they're filling me out, and I was only there for 5 or 6 hours. He said, this time I showed up early in the morning at Party in the Palace, and I stayed all the way till like 10 p.m. that night. And he said, it was lit. He goes, it was lit. He goes, it was jumping. We were having a blast playing all those games, just hanging. He said it was the best fellowship ever. So like I was saying, we had to stop there for a second. I had to, source called me. We'll just leave it at that. Be a good way to say it. And we were talking about Danny Okoye. So if I repeat what I just said, I'm sorry. Basically, he showed up to Oklahoma at the party in the palace. The last time he showed up, when I talked to him, he was like, man, look, I was there for 5-6 hours. This time around, he was like, I was there for 12 hours and I loved it. He goes, it was lit. It was fellowship with the coaches, with the players, with everybody. And at the end of the day, he went ahead and he set his visit up for September 2nd. It'll be the first through September 2nd. It'll be, so he'll be there and probably leave either Monday morning or he'll be there late Friday, which probably if he has a game Friday night, he'll probably be there Monday morning or Saturday, and he'll leave Monday on Labor Day, would be my guess. So, yeah, he's going to visit Oklahoma officially. He says that he'll probably get to another game or two at Oklahoma. And I don't want to dive into too much here, Parker, because a lot of it's going to on OUinsider.com. But let's just say that Oklahoma, if you want to know more, you can go there. You can sign up. If you sign up before August 1st, PATP23, you can get it. And that's not to be rude or anything like that. It's just, I want our members to have this. And so, but essentially, Oklahoma did a really good job. And there's a lot more to this recruitment and where Oklahoma stands, who they're fighting, and all that, and when all these official visits are going to take place on OU Insider. But Oklahoma did a good job. They did a really good job, and things are starting to, smooth out for them in the Danny Okoye. When you on our bingo card 3 months ago, Parker, he wasn't going to be on that at all.
Nope.
Like, we did not think much of it. And now it seems like it's not as far fetched. And if you go to OU Insider, you'll see why. Another guy that was there that is up in the air, I guess, is Northwestern quarterback Brendan Zurbrugg. Obviously, he's committed to Northwestern. But everything that's going on with Northwestern, he decided he wanted to open up a little bit. And you want to know something I heard?
What's that?
About OU's quarterbacking situation? I'm about to drop a bomb on everybody.
Oh, this will be fun. Here we go.
Samaj Jones was silenced to Oklahoma for a while and announced to Cincinnati, according to what I've been told. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, but on that same note, he's a 3-star, right? And Zurbrugg is a 3-star, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's going to be smart. He's going to be athletic. I mean, he's Levy. This just shows you how good of a recruiter Levy is, by the way. Does it not? Like, everything that he's done up to this point, who he's landed, Arnold, Sperry, Hawkins, and now potentially adding a second dude to 2024 and Brendan Zurbrugg, if he does decide to flip to Oklahoma. How crazy is that? And he almost convinced Samaj Jones to be a second quarterback.
That's like, a top 20 quarterback in the nation in Samaj Jones. And Brendan Zurbrugg is not a top 20 quarterback in the nation, but he's a top 50 quarterback in the nation. So if you're doing the math, if every single Power 5 school is taking a quarterback every cycle, really the top 60, 70 quarterbacks in the country are all going to be guys that can really play. And Brendan Zurbrugg can really play. And I thought it was interesting because look, by the time this podcast hits the airwaves, there's a decent chance Brendan Zurbrugg has flipped to Oklahoma. Now, I talked to Zurbrugg earlier this afternoon, Sunday afternoon. He kind of went in detail on the Oklahoma visit. And I think what's really, really refreshing is that in Zurbrugg, Oklahoma got exactly the type of guy that they got in Michael Hawkins. And that is to say, that's a guy that quite honestly could not give a crap about who else is in the quarterback room. The way Brendan Zurbrugg phrased it to me, he said, look, anywhere I go, I'm going to have to compete with other quarterbacks. I'm not really paying any attention to how old they are or how much experience they have or what their star rankings are. No, I'm going to have to compete wherever I go. So Michael Hawkins is very much wired the same way. And talking to Zurbrugg, he said, look, I met Michael. We connected. We could be good friends regardless of whether we're competing. He's a guy that I can get along with. And so, yeah, I love where Oklahoma stands in the Zurbrugg recruitment right now. I would be very surprised if he doesn't flip publicly by the end of the week at least. And again, there's a decent chance that by the time this podcast goes live, that's already happened. The final two options for him are to stick with his Northwestern commitment or to flip to Oklahoma. And for a multiplicity of reasons, Brandon, I consider it a near certainty that a flip to Oklahoma takes place.
Well, yeah, no, I would agree with that. We can't put flips in.
We cannot.
Rivals, so
if we could, I would have one in.
We would already. Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, I want to say that let me clarify something on the Samaj Jones thing I said earlier about him being silenced. That's what I was told by a couple of people that tend to know what they're talking about when it comes to that type of stuff. When you say silenced to something, that's also open for interpretation as well. Because until they publicly commit, they're not committed. They could sit there and say, hey, I'm coming. Coach, don't worry about it. And go somewhere else. I mean, that can be interpreted as silence. So I just want people to not think it's like it's an open and closed and that Oklahoma just got screwed. But I do think Oklahoma felt they were going to get Samaj Jones. I will say, and Parker can vouch for that too.
Yeah.
They literally thought they had that kid in the bag. All right. Media days roll. Well, before we do that, let's talk about, we have to get in our, hi, Missouri fans. We want to say hi to you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting us back in the top 200 in iTunes again. I mean, it's fair. I mean, they've helped us boost our numbers quite a bit. I mean, we're normally in there, but not as high up as we've been lately.
They're eating it up.
Yep. Love it. Let's talk about Williams-Nwaneri.
Okay. Let's.
Yeah, we just talked about it on the last podcast, but he did visit Oregon. And people are going to want to know, do you think this Oregon visit that he took this past weekend will make a big deal moving forward?
I mean, I'm going to certainly make some calls tomorrow, Monday. So I will have already made some calls by the time this podcast goes public, and we'll have some form of an update up on OUinsider.com. But I went into this weekend, the Oregon visit, not anticipating that it was going to change much. And my early impression in the immediate aftermath of the Oregon visit is that it didn't change much. We know he's not going to Missouri before the end of the dead period. And so at this point, Brandon, I understand that it's something we're going to have to keep talking about until the decision comes, likely on August 7th, as we've discussed. But man, at this point, I don't know what else I can say. I don't know what's left to say about the Williams-Nwaneri situation. It's OU and Missouri. They're the two schools that are battling it out. Everybody else is kind of looking up at the Sooners and the Tigers. And in the end, I think Oklahoma is the choice for Nwaneri.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I spoke to a source not 20 minutes ago that tends to feel the same way and doesn't seem worried at all when it comes to Oklahoma. So there's that. And they're fairly confident they're going to have Oklahoma. That Oklahoma is going to have a very, very good defensive line class. Like, very confident in that right now. They got to close it out though. And it's funny because the source said, Oklahoma's not doing anything different than they have done. It's the relationships. Like, instead of only having 1 year to build with David Hicks, they've had 2 to build with Nwaneri and Stone and Nigel Smith and Wyatt Gilmore and Dominic McKinley. Like, these are long-lasting relationships. They're not just, okay, we're at Oklahoma now, come to Oklahoma. And that's essentially what happened in 22 and 23 was they had to flip their whole recruiting pitch like that. Well, now the whole time they've been at Oklahoma, they've been saying the same thing to these players. Come to Oklahoma, come to Oklahoma. Nothing's changed. And that makes a bigger difference than I think people realize at the end of the day. David Stone, obviously, he's going to announce on August 26th. He's going to announce on ESPN2 when they play, ironically, Samaj Jones's. I can't remember his team's name. Do you remember it?
St. Joseph's Prep.
St. Joseph's Prep. That's correct. St. Joseph's Prep out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They'll be playing on, again, national television, ESPN2. And I'm assuming Stone's going to announce before the game because it would just be kind of crazy to announce after the game.
You think Stone sacks Samaj Jones and goes, if you ain't for us, you're against us?
He tweeted it.
Well, exactly.
And that would be you know how funny that would be if that was literally what was said in that tweet was pointed at him, because it was around that time, wasn't it? That all that was taking place with his commitment.
Yeah.
Give or take a week or two. That's interesting. I never thought about that until you said it. That's just looks down at him. You ain't with us, you're against us. You made a bad decision. Of course, he's going to look at him and go, I'm in the Big 12, bro. You got to go worry about these SEC dudes now. So, and that's assuming he goes to Oklahoma like we all think he's going to. And yes, I still think Oklahoma is the leader there. I think Miami and Michigan State are players. I thought it was funny in the tweet that he put out with his top schools, his top 6, that the University of Florida fans were like, why are we in this? You've been to us like twice. Why do you have us in here? You are not going to be a Gator. And now you watch he'll be a Gator. Now that I say that. But yeah, I still like Oklahoma. I haven't heard anything otherwise to make me think differently. We know that Stone himself told me that he thinks Coach Bates is going to be at the announcement and be at that game, even though it's a dead period. But in talking to sources, there's a waiver you can file since it's a prep school and it's a 0-week game that maybe they can go to the game. I think that's interesting if that's the case. It's also very telling if that's the case. So we'll see. Parker, do you think it's still Oklahoma?
I have no reason to think otherwise.
There you go. All right. Before we get to Mykel Patterson-McDonald, let's talk about OU Media Day. Oklahoma has Media Day on Tuesday. We're going to be there from like 8 a.m. to like 2 p.m. Obviously, Parker, you'll be on the radio the last part of it, but
no, I'm going 2 to 6 that day. So
okay.
If I miss much, it'll just be that last sliver.
Right. Okay. Is there anything you're looking forward to at the Sooners Media Day? Like, is there anything or anybody you kind of want to talk to before the season starts and get a feel for where they stand, how they feel heading into the year outside of Dylan Gabriel? Because I've heard a lot of really good buzz on him, by the way, over the last few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, as far as catching up with individual players, I think it'd be good to just, I think at a juncture like this where fall camp is still on the horizon and you haven't strapped the pads back on yet, I think it does you well as a reporter and as somebody that's trying to pass on reliable information to the public and reliable expectations. It does you well to gauge how the older guys feel, the more experienced guys, the guys that have been through the fire. And, naturally, if you're going into your first or even second season of college football and you don't have as much perspective on spring and summer and all of the signal flares that can go up regarding the season that is ahead, I think it's easy to maybe get a little bit overconfident, but I think you'd be able to gauge realistic expectations for this Oklahoma team just based off what some of the older guys are feeling. Guys like Woody Washington, who's been on a college football playoff team before. A guy like Reggie Pearson, who's been around the block now at 3 different Power 5 schools. Even a guy like Drake Stoops, right? Who, sure, he's not like Pearson in that he's only been around one program his entire career and really his entire life, but he's going to shoot straight with you because Oklahoma is all he knows. And, he's never been the type to take anything for granted. So Austin Stogner is another one that comes to mind.
Yeah, he's a good interview.
Yeah. So I'll be eager to see what some of the older guys think about this team in 2023 versus the same team at this point in 2022 or 21 or 20 or heck, even 19 with some of these guys that have really been around for a while at Oklahoma or elsewhere.
Right. Yeah, I think after everything that they've gone through, I'm interested to see how, obviously, like a Rondell Bothroyd or somebody like that that's been a player at a high level at obviously Wake Forest, another P5 program. And it's obviously not, you say Wake Forest, you don't think the level of Oklahoma, but it's still a Power 5 program. And how that offseason compared to what he's gone through with Schmitty this offseason. And I think it would be interesting to see, like you said, what Austin Stogner thinks of it all in comparison to that. I do know that there's a lot of confidence in what this Oklahoma team can be this season. After that 6 and 7 year, you would think that there would be some, I guess, reserve confidence, but there's really not. Everybody around that program feels they're going to win at least 9 games, if not more. And they don't think that they were that bad of a team last year, a break or two. And obviously they were a bad team, but they don't think they were a 6 and 7 bad. And I think we all could agree with that. They weren't 6 and 7 bad. They just couldn't hold on to big leads and they couldn't close out games, which is why they lost 5 games by 3 points. Is that a fair assessment, Parker?
That's more than a fair assessment.
I mean,
the little things matter.
Yes, the little things matter. Penalties, called back touchdowns. I think there was 100+ points called back. Whether not called back, but between penalties and drop passes or missed big opportunities and on wide open plays or overthrown.
Maybe 100+ plays left on the field might be, or 100+ points left on the field.
That's what I'm saying. 100+ points left on the field for Oklahoma in crucial moments that didn't need to take place. And so I think seeing where everybody's mindset is, I do want to see, I'm excited for Dylan Gabriel just because I've heard a lot of good stuff about him this offseason. I talked to somebody today and they were like, look, last year during the 7-on-7s, he was throwing checkdowns all the time. They said this offseason, he's taking shots, giving his guys 50-50 balls and letting them obviously try to make plays. And I think that, to me, says a lot of his comfortability within the system more than it does anything else. Because, yeah, he ran the same system right when he was at UCF, but everybody also forgets that it's coached. The systems are the same, but they're variations of the systems. And they're coached differently. And he went from being coached by Levy to being coached by somebody else to now being coached by Levy again, all on the heels of having missed a good portion of a whole year rehabbing his clavicle, his collarbone. And so that the rust, all of that, I think, plays into some of the issues he had last year throwing. And there's hope that that's not the case this year. And guess what? I also think having Jackson Arnold backing you up lights a fire under your ass a little bit. You can't just look and go, there's Booty and Bevel back there. I'm not really worried about them beating me out and not working as hard as maybe he should have worked last season. That may be fair. And that may be why you see a much improved Dylan Gabriel potentially. I don't know. I hope he's much improved. I really do. It would be really cool to have the 8th national title with the quarterback wearing number 8. I don't know why I think that's cool, but I do. Just kind of foreshadowing, I guess, a little bit.
Well, and a bit of an homage to the last national title team in that you have a left-handed transfer quarterback who has a not necessarily elite, but by no means pedestrian either. Solidly above average season in year 1. And then it's championship in year 2. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Oklahoma wins the national title in 2023. But the storylines there would be fun.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm also excited to hear what BV has to say about his defense, because I think he'll be a lot more open to the local media than he will the national media.
That's probably true.
Yeah. I'm really excited to hear Dejon Terry. We haven't got to talk to Dejon yet. I'm excited to talk to him.
Is he going to be available?
We should be. Remember, last spring they brought in everybody and just cycled them through. Remember, like cattle.
Yeah, it was all the new guys, all the new scholarship guys.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they do. So anyways, yeah. All right. We're going to go right now to none other than 2024 4-star safety Mykel Patterson-McDonald. Mykel is about to join us.
There's the man.
There's the man.
Oh, in the Under Armour camp shirt too.
There he is, trying to show them guns off. Sun's out, guns out, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So by the time this podcast is released, you will have announced where you're going to school.
Yes, sir.
How excited are you to be a Sooner?
Very, very excited.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, when this is released, he will have announced his commitment to the University of Oklahoma. Another 4-star added to the 2024 class. It's getting thick with them. So let's walk through this. Your whole commitment and your whole recruitment. Who was your first offer? Let's do that. Who was your first offer?
OU was my first offer.
OU was your first offer.
And how did that first offer come about? Tell us the story.
Okay, so my end of my sophomore year, I was getting a few looks. Coach Zoll was telling me, like beginning of my junior year through the season, that Coach Hall was looking at me. The OU was looking at me. He's talked to him about me, brought me up to him, and they were kind of interested in me. They said they didn't know if I was fast enough yet. So time went, ended the season with 4 picks, 108 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. And so I started talking to him more, started talking to Coach Bates and Coach Hall. And so I started building a relationship with him a little bit, talking to him every now and then. And then I had a track meet at OU, indoor track meet. I had 3 track meets there. And I ended up running 7-1 in the 60. So after I ran 7-1, that next morning I get a call from Coach Bates, and that's when they offered me.
Very cool. Very cool. So give everybody your instant reaction. Obviously, you were excited. You've committed to him by now, but what was your instant reaction when you got that? Like, what was your family's reaction? What was your reaction? What was the first thing you did after you got off the phone and you had that offer at that point? Who did you call? Who did you talk to? And what was the excitement level in your household?
It was just me and my dad. It was an early morning around 9-10 o'clock. And I seen a FaceTime call come in, answered the phone. I was like, hey, what's up, coach? He was like, what's up, Mykel? And he was like, you know what this call is for? I was like, no. He was like, you think I just talk to any kid in the country just to be on the phone with him? I was like, no, sir. He was like, "So how's your morning going? What you got planned for today?" I was like, yeah, eat, go work out, just get through the day." He was like, "Yeah, well, I wanted to let you know we've offered you to play for the University of Oklahoma." And I was just like it didn't feel real. It didn't feel real at first. I was just like shook. I was smiling like I could barely see, when you smile a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it started getting blurry. I started getting tears. I was like, "You for real, coach? Like, for real?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm for real." He was like, "I ain't doing this for no reason." And I was so blessed. I just kept saying thank you, tears. I just it was a dream come true.
Yeah,
And so after I got off the phone, I went and told my dad. My dad just sat there and hugged me and told me he was proud of me.
that's amazing.
Man, that's awesome. I want to know because I remember coming out there to Westmore to meet with you maybe about a week and a half after you got the offer. It was pretty fresh. And I remember you telling me straight up at the time, man, I want to go to OU. I'm going to hear the other schools out, but I want to go to OU. At what point in the process did you know? Like not just think, but know, okay, I'm going to the University of Oklahoma.
I ended up finding out that I was going about 2 weeks ago. Like throughout the whole thing, I was really close with UNLV. I was like real close to pulling the plug on that and committing there. I was very close. Like it was getting there because the relationship I had with Coach Magazu there was incredible. I was able to talk to him, go to him about anything. We have an amazing relationship. It was just I wanted to go play against the best, and OU was the best opportunity, and I was able to build a really strong relationship with Coach Venables and Coach Holm, Coach Valai, Coach Roof, Coach Bates. A lot of the coaching staff, I was able to build a really strong relationship with them. And every time I stepped on campus, it felt like home. They treated me like I deserved to be there. And Party of the Palace really said it. That's when I committed.
So obviously that's really cool, man. So how was the party in the palace?
Oh yeah. It was good. It showed us how athletic Devon Mitchell was. It was a good time. It was an amazing time.
We were just talking about that actually.
Yeah.
You're the fifth person to tell me that. Literally the fifth person to tell
Yeah,
me
so,
that. They said Devon Mitchell and they said Devon Mitchell, Grant Brix, and Danny Okoye are absolute freaks for their size.
it's definitely like ooh, it's something. And it was a good time. We ended up losing our offense in dodgeball, which we shouldn't have lost. Listen, so my excuse for that, it's not even an excuse. They had
You had the
much,
kids, right?
yeah, we had all the little kids, and it was all offensive play. It was all the players. And so,
Yeah,
yeah.
Danny was griping about that earlier today.
Yeah.
He went on a rant about that for a
We
while.
should have beat them. We still did good with the little kids. We still should have beat them.
So for you, you're committed to Oklahoma. Your whole life you've been looking forward to this and working up to this point.
Yes, sir.
What's next for Mykel?
What's next for me is when I step foot on campus, be ready to work because I know Smitty gonna do it to me. I just already know how that's gonna get. So, I gotta prepare myself. I gotta get all the way into shape. Gotta start putting on more weight. I plan on stepping on campus 185 already. Like looking prepared, looking like everybody else already. I don't want to be behind. And so I plan on that and hopefully, get on the field, get a little bit of playing time my freshman year. I don't want a red shirt.
Okay. There
Now,
you go.
I would imagine we're going to talk more about David Stone here in just a bit because I feel like most understand how close the two of you are. But
Yeah.
outside of Stoney for just a second, let's talk about the rest of this class and the rest of the targets that are still on the board for you guys that you're peer recruiting as commits on behalf of Oklahoma. What do you like about the class that is already in place, and who are some of the key guys that you're helping to work on to add to this class and help push it into the national top 5?
But the main guy I'm helping to work on is Stone. That's something right there. It's a hard piece to work on. But I'm getting there. I'm, nudging a little bit, not too much because I don't want to bother him too much. But when we be on the phone, when we just chilling, he just talked to me a little bit about it, and we just be sitting there chilling, having a good time. He always be trying to bully me, but I don't let that slide. So yeah, And the class we have now, it's a good class. I see a lot. I think we can do some big things with this class, definitely. Like it's a lot of potential in this class. Even the class behind us with the 25s that are committed, it's a lot of potential.
Do you see yourself as a guy that's going to be real vocal as far as trying to land, obviously David, trying to go after Williams Winery, trying to go after Nigel Smith, trying to go after Eli Bowen, trying to go after, and I know he doesn't really play the same position as you because he's going to be more of a cheetah rover type guy, but try to get a Michael Boganowski types. Like, are those guys that you've already started building relationships with that you feel like you're going to be able to at least help Oklahoma reel those guys in?
Some of them I've talked to, some of them haven't. Like William, I haven't, and Eli, I haven't talked to him either.
The two quiet guys.
Yeah. But Michael, I've talked to him. We every time we see each other, we talk pretty often about commitment and everything. And he told me his final two. And he said it's a tough pick, but I'm kind of leaning towards what I want to do. So I think we can get him landed, definitely. I think we can get Stone landed as well.
There you go. What if have you met Nigel Smith at all?
Oh yeah, we haven't talked in a while since the OV.
I got you.
We're in the group chat, but we talk in the group chat. We don't really talk about who's committing. We just be having a good time in there.
So people are going to ask, Caden Durham obviously put out his final three today of Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and LSU. He had an LSU guy do the edit, and it feels like it's LSU. And I know you don't have to say one way or the other, and I would never ask you to do so. How hard has he been to get a read for you?
The hardest person by far. The hardest person by far.
We agree.
Like I knew the top three from the start, but he'll tell me a whole different story. And I'm like, Caden, I'm not dumb. I'm not new to this. I know exactly what the three are. And he'll just start laughing. And I'll be like, okay, so what you leaning towards? I said, we going to the same school? He said, no, I'm going to Toledo. No, I'm going to SMU. Just trying to be funny. It's so hard to tell like where he's going. But I kind of like, in my mind, I kind of got like a decision of like if he was to drop a top two tomorrow, what it would be. Like he's by far the hardest to read.
Yeah, it'd be LSU, Oklahoma for top two, but I mean it's the A&M thing is kind of like he keeps throwing them out there, and I know he likes them a lot. And I used to think that A&M was a way bigger. You and I have talked about this a lot when your dad or you were up there training my kids, and this was a conversation that was had probably last week, and Mykel gave the exact same answer when I asked that. He goes, he is the hardest for me to read at all time because he will never tell me the real truth. And he just said it again. So,
man. Now, Mykel, I want to ask you a big picture question. And, this is something that a lot of guys have harped on, whether prompted or unprompted. But just when you take stock of everything that Oklahoma has going for it, not just from a football standpoint, but off the field as well. And Coach Venables and his staff, their focus on the holistic development of the student athlete. How much of a comfort is there in knowing that Oklahoma is going to lead you down the right path, regardless of how far football takes you in life?
It's a big comfort. I'm very comfortable there. That's the main thing there, being there on campus, being around the coaches. I don't have to do a lot of I don't really have to do any sweet talk. I can just be normal. I can just be comfortable the way I talk regularly with them. So and then it's not even all about football there. That's another big thing with me. It's alive. They have a thing there called Soul Mission that's really big as well. That gets you set for later on after football, outside of football life. Keeps you on track outside of football life. It's not just football there.
Your dad was another guy that was really high on the soul mission. I don't know how much you guys have talked about that, but he said that it was at the Champion Barbecue that you guys were just sitting around listening to them talk, and he started taking notes. And he had heard. He said, "Goes, I've heard that spiel a lot," but he said they added a bunch of more to what they do with the soul mission, and he said that sold you guys more than anything. But out of the soul mission, what's the biggest thing for you that makes that a huge part? Like you said, it helps you outside of obviously whenever you graduate, set you up with finances and all that type of stuff. But for you personally, what was it that you were like, oh, this is a really cool thing?
How they get all the players suits, they set them up with a lot of big time companies and what they want to do in life after football. And that's a big thing because you may not go to the league, you never know. And you always have to have a plan B or a plan C. And that's what they set them up for. They set them up for life. And to be able to go into interviews and talk and learn how to talk. And that helps with a lot.
Mykel, as far as the relationships with your coaches, not just Bates who offered you, not just Venables, but the rest of the staff, because one of the things we hear a great deal is that, the coaches as individuals make themselves, they make it a priority at Oklahoma to ensure that the coaches are building relationships with guys outside of their position group. So you're never going to, meet a stranger somewhere in the building. What's been the overall impression that you've gleaned from really any and all of the coaches, off-field staff, assistants, support staffers, the people at Oklahoma, I guess is what I'm asking. What impresses you about the folks that are involved with the operation as individuals?
They show a lot of love. They come up to you, ask what your name is, and like they give you a lot of good conversation, a lot of stuff to talk about. They're able to keep the conversation going, not just hey, what's your name? Where you from? How you doing today? It's actual conversation and like, what do you want to do in life? What do you want to major in? What position you play? How do you feel about Oklahoma? How do you feel about the other schools? Like, just good talks. They make you comfortable to talk to them, especially a real good relationship with Coach RC, Coach Ryan Carter. I have a good relationship with him. And every time he sees me, he always shows me a lot of love. It's a lot of energy with him. And that's one of my top coaches, one of my favorites right there.
Mykel, you talked about your favorite coaches, and earlier you talked about UNLV and Coach Mags. And I know, unfortunately for them, they didn't land you, but what was that relationship like, and how hard was that to tell them you weren't going to be a Rebel?
That relationship. It was really good. We talked almost every day. I was able to, call him, hey, coach, this was going on. He'll text me, check up on me. Hey, you doing good? Everything all right? How's your parents doing? How's your siblings doing? You all good? Need anything? He was always there for me. And that relationship, he never promised me anything that big. All he said was, the only thing that I promise you is love and opportunity. He said, that's all you get from me is love and opportunity, the coaching, knowledge that I give you. That's by far it. He's like, the rest you have to do on your own. You got to work. If you want a position here, you have to work. You got to put in the work. If you want to come in and start as a freshman, you got to work. You got to be just as big as a dog in college as you are right now in high school. And that relationship, it just took off. It's by far the best relationship I have with any coach, and coach means a lot to me. And
Now,
having to tell him that, I won't be attending UNLV, it hurts.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about the SEC, Mykel, because obviously Oklahoma's making that transition by the time you'll be a freshman. So once you've suited up in crimson and cream for the first time on a game day, the Sooners are going to be playing SEC football. And I think most everybody with their head level on their shoulders can agree on the fact that in this day and age, that's where the best college football in America is played. So, I mean, how eager are you to get your skills sharpened, competing against the best, not just on the practice field throughout the week, but every single Saturday, regardless of who's in town?
I'm all for it. I'm all in. Like whatever I got to do, whatever I have to sacrifice, I'm all for it. I'll do it. That's the SEC. It's the best of the best, and that's where I want to play. I want to step on the field as a freshman, out there against Bama, out there against anybody in front of me. I want to go out there and play against the best of the best. That's a good transition. It shows that Coach V has a lot of trust in his players and the rest of the coaching staff as well.
So, and I guess this is the last one for me, Mykel. Obviously, you're announcing here, and a little under 20 hours or so.
Yeah.
What's your feeling right now? And for those that, again, he's already committed when you all see this, but he has not announced yet. So, as we record this, it's a little different. What's your feeling right now? Like, is it excitement, nervousness, or just kind of a sigh of relief that this thing's over with for you and that you can now start focusing on different things like your senior year of football?
Yeah, it's a sigh of relief. I don't have to worry about anything in the season but playing ball, keeping my grades how they are, and finishing out my senior year. Just happy this recruiting process is over. It was stressful. There was a lot of times where coaches wanted to offer it, as would we be wasting our time if we offered you? And I had to say yes to a lot of coaches. And I'm just happy that the process is over now, that I have my home and where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really
awesome.
I mean, I guess as we get ready to wrap things up here, personally for you, how excited are you to be able to play college football right down the road from your family and be able to have them in the stands every Saturday cheering you on? How much does that mean to you?
It means a lot to me. It means a lot. Rather anybody being there or not, I'm gonna still do what I gotta do. I'm always play like there's nobody in the stands. I'm gonna play like there's nobody watching. Like when I work out, I know there's nobody watching them. I don't slack on anything. When it comes to working out, I'm always 100% in. When I'm playing, I don't really hear anything unless the coaches is talking. I don't pay attention to the stands until the game's over. So it means a lot, family being there, fans being there. I know it's a big atmosphere. It's a big place, plenty and lots of fans there.
Gotcha. Well, man, congratulations. Obviously, I mean, this has been a dream come true for you and your family. I know. Just excited for you, for real. Like, this is really cool. Parker, you know this. I've knew this little tyke whenever he was little. So, so his dad and I go way back to college. Yeah, man, congratulations, man. This is huge. It's just crazy that you're that little kid now going to be wearing a Sooners uniform here in the next 12 months.
Yes, sir.
Crazy. Are you an early enrollee, by the way?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay.
Because of track, I'm still thinking on if I want to do track or not. I'm still thinking on that.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well, this is 2024 4-star safety Mykel Patterson-McDonald, Oklahoma's new commit in the 24K class. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. That was 2024 4-star Westmore safety Mykel Patterson-McDonald, who is now an Oklahoma Sooner and will be a part of the 24K class when he announces, and he's already announced, whenever you see this, on Monday, July 31st at 5 p.m. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast, powered by Ollipop. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to any one of the numerous platforms that this podcast is streamed on, subscribe. The more subscribers, the more we know you like us, the more we'll put out content And the more OU content, recruiting content you will get from us. But lastly, but not least, if you're not subscribed to OU Insider, you're listening to this, you need to hurry. If it's not already midnight or August 31st, go to OU Insider, sign up, PATP23, PATP23 is a promo code, and you get OU Insider from August 1st or July 31st all the way through September 2nd, so it'll end at midnight or 12 in the morning on September 3rd. All right, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast powered by Ollipop. My name's Brandon Drum. That's Parker Thune. You guys have a blessed night.